We read the Almanack of Naval Ravikant and gave it a shelf test score. Impactfulness, a score of 9 out of 10.
I'm just going to give it a 7.
Why a 7?
If you're broke, right? It's like, cool, man, build assets. And I'm just sitting here trying to pay my rent.
Should you have sections in your book talking about your diet when you're not in great physical shape?
If I give this a 10, then all of a sudden we read Meditations, it's like, oh, this is on the same level as Marcus Aurelius.
Final shelf test score.
We read nonfiction books and score them out of 50 points across 5 categories.
Readability, impactfulness, credibility, and our individual it factors that we call the Ray factor and the Steve factor. At the end of this video, we'll reveal the final shelf test score.
You can read along with us and see all the books we have rated and ranked at theshelftest.com.
This is the shelf test. Let's get into it.
Here's how the shelf test score works. Every book on this channel gets scored the same way. 5 categories, 10 points each, 50 total.
3 of those categories, readability, impactfulness, and credibility, we give a final score together. If our individual scores are within a point of each other, we average it. If we're more than a point apart, we debate it until one of us moves. The last 2 categories, the Ray factor and the Steve factor, are sealed right in these bags over here. We've scored each book on the it factor before we walked into this room, and those sealed scores get opened live later in the show.
Then we add it all up, slap a verdict on it, and put it on the shelf. Today's book is the Almanack of Naval Ravikant, written by Eric Jorgenson.
Over the last 2 weeks reading this book, we individually recorded film videos as we filled out the rating worksheet. I haven't seen any of Ray's videos or his scores, and he hasn't seen any of mine. We'll be watching those live today on the show with you. Now, before we cracked the book open, we judged the book by its cover and made predictions for how the book would score on the shelf test. So why did I choose the Almanack of Naval Ravikant for our first book here on the shelf test? He's been on podcasts, he's a writer, he's on Twitter. You can find people everywhere who've been impacted by Naval Ravikant. I am curious now to find out what your pre-read mindset was for this book.
This dude has a cool name, first off. It's just going to be a book about, some rich guy and how he got rich or whatever. So it's going to be one of those kind of books.
It's kind of plain looking, it didn't have a lot going on. And I didn't really know a lot about who Naval Ravikant was. But now I've seen podcasts of his. I've seen a lot of Twitter posts from him. I've gotten a lot of value from him without even knowing who he was. This is going to be a good read.
My pre-read score prediction, a 30 out of 50.
So you did not have very high expectations for this book.
I literally thought it was going to be a cookie cutter kind of, how to get rich. This is another guy at the finish line.
My prediction for the Almanack of Naval Ravikant is a 37 out of 50. Those were first impressions. Now let's jump into the shelf test scores for each category. First up, the readability score for the Almanack of Naval Ravikant.
Readability is how easy this book is to actually get through. We scored on 3 tests: the pickup test, the structure test, and the talk to a stranger test.
Let's run the tests.
The pickup test is the part of the review where we rate how easy or how hard it is to put the book down for a week and then pick up right where you left off.
If you put this book down for a week, could you re-enter it easily?
You can basically just dive into any portion of it and kind of take something from it. It's just a series of tweets and stuff. You can just pick it up and just start anywhere.
It's a collaboration of thoughts. It's not just a couple of thoughts he's trying to give you. So it is something you can just drop for a week and go pick it up. So from the pickup test, I'd say overall, I actually rated it pretty high. I think a lot of other books will rate much lower on the pickup test because they're going to be much deeper arguments. Let's move on to the structure test.
The structure test is the part of the review where we rate the book's organization and flow. Does the order make sense? And is it easy to follow?
What do you think about the organization of the book? Did it help you? Did it hurt the reading experience?
It's not a linear story, right? So you can just go to any section and just listen to it or read it, and you're going to take something from it.
You never have to backtrack.
Yeah, you don't.
At all.
No.
Like, oh, I missed a part. I thought it was organized well. If you look at the table of contents, the way that they have it structured, it almost reads table of contents wise like it's going to be a book that deep dives on these subjects.
Yeah.
Only when you get into it do you realize, no, there's a subsection for 50 different thoughts inside of each one of these chapters. So when I started reading it, I was waiting to see like the end of the first chapter, looking for a stopping point. It just kept going on and on and on. It's a very easy read. It's a quick read. It's 8 hours. You can read this book in 2 weeks No problem, we just did it. Moving on to the Talk to a Stranger test.
The Talk to a Stranger test is the part of the review where we test how hard it is to pitch this book in 30 seconds. If they wouldn't want to read it after the 30-second pitch, then this test fails. Let's watch our 30-second pitches and score them.
The Almanack of Naval Ravikant, all of the thoughts that come from a guy who started a big company like AngelList that's well known in Silicon Valley. You learn about business, you're gonna learn about philosophy, things like happiness and where it comes from, and most importantly, a lot of concepts about understanding what makes you special and how you should be spending your time and your efforts. Would you read the book based off of that 30-second pitch?
It's like reading Rambo, dude. Yeah.
Would you really?
You packed a lot in there. You'll see mine, right?
Yeah, okay.
Naval is he's an Indian guy, right? From New Delhi or whatever. But basically, he started out poor, and then he talks about what he did to become the billionaire that he is right now. And it's just a compilation of his best ideas on how to get rich and actually enjoy your life.
Would I read the book based off of that video if it was free? Oh,
Yeah.
and by the way, the book actually is free.
It's free? Okay.
And anyone can go and get this book at navalmanac.com. Time to rate the readability score for the Almanack of Naval Ravikant.
Readability for me, I would say I gave it a pretty high, an 8.
I'm giving readability a score of 7 out of 10. So in that instance, we're gonna split the difference. All right, the final readability score for the Almanack of Naval Ravikant is a 7.5 out of 10. Next up, the Impactfulness score for the Almanack of Naval Ravikant. Impactfulness is whether this book actually changes the way you live, work, or think. 2 tests, the What Did I Steal test and the Half-Life test.
Let's run the tests.
The What Did I Steal test is the part of the review where we rate ideas we stole from the author and shared with others mid-read.
He talks about this idea of the hedonic treadmill. It's just you getting used to everything. Your brain keeps moving the finish line on what is good enough. So I've definitely felt that before, hitting a new income level or buying something nice, and then a week later, I feel like it's just all normal again. So lately, I've been trying to actually step off that hedonic treadmill a bit, instead of obsessing about, more income or upgrading whatever. I'm just learning to like and love the setup I already have, as in, I got a roof over my head. I live in Vegas. I'm single. I have a lot of freedom to do whatever I want.
I love that because you're equating the happiness to contentment, which was a big thought that Naval had in this book of like, can I just be content with the stuff I already have and everything else can be icing on the cake if and when that happens, but I'm already happy now. Do long-term things with long-term people. Then if somebody's short-term, if somebody's not somebody you want to build with for 30 years, Naval says don't even spend a day building with them. What happens when you go long-term is you get the benefit of compound interest. And Naval hits that over and over again, that compound interest in time is where all of the benefits in life come from. Before we jump to the Half-Life test and award an Impactfulness score, we pause here to reflect on our favorite passages from the book. If you hurt other people because they have expectations of you, that's their problem. If they have an agreement with you, it's your problem. But if they have an expectation of you, that's completely their problem. It has nothing to do with you. They're going to have lots of expectations out of life. The sooner you can dash their expectations, the better. The sooner you can dash their expectations, the better. A lot of people would say that that makes Naval an asshole, or it makes you an asshole if you say that, oh, you have expectations of me? Well, that's your problem. Does that make someone an asshole?
No, I can see why, but if you break it down, it's like, it is what, like, you have your perspective role, I have mine. And if I'm somehow, that is not my problem. You know what I mean? Like, you can think it's like cold-hearted or whatever, but it's a good way to just, you don't have to say it out loud.
Let's see Ray's favorite passage.
Desire is a contract that you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want.
When I heard that, I was like, that is so true.
People ask the question, why am I not happy? It's like, because you made a contract with yourself to not be happy until something happens.
Let's move on to the Half-Life test.
The Half-Life test is the part of the review where we rate how memorable the lessons from the book will be 5 years from now. If the memories evaporate the second we close the book, the test fails. I'm going to remember specific knowledge. I'm going to remember I want to get paid for my judgment. I'm going to remember long-term things with long-term people.
Happiness being a skill that you have to work on.
Yeah.
Happiness is not a prize you unlock when you have money.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not being stuck in the permanent not enough mode. You know, these are all just things that like I have been kind of just taking in and kind of just applying to my life. And I'm hoping I'm still doing it in 5 years. Let's rate an impactfulness score for the Almanack of Naval Ravikant.
I'm giving impactfulness a score of 9 out of 10.
I'm just going to give it a 7.
Why a 7? You get that a lot lower than I did.
I'm saying a 7 out of 10 because it wasn't the entire book. It was just little snippets, but they were very powerful ones that really resonated with me.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot in there. I gave it the 9 out of 10 because there was so much that was impactful. You give me a book of 100 quotes anywhere, I'm going to say it's pretty impactful. So I'm a deep thinker. I'm like, whoa. Like I'm getting lit left and right with these. But I like your take on it. I'll bring my score down. I would be down to meet in the middle, closer to you.
Impactfulness score for the Almanack of Naval Ravikant, 7.5 out of 10. Next up, the credibility score for the Almanack of Naval Ravikant. Credibility is whether the author has actually earned the right to teach this. 2 tests, the survivorship bias test and the skin of the game test.
The survivorship bias test is the part of the review where we put the author in the hot seat. Are they generalizing from their own outlier success? And would this advice still hold up if 1,000 other people tried it? Naval has obviously been super successful. He's been out of the rat race for a long time. He grew up extremely poor in India. He knows what it's like to do without. Now he has plenty. If you apply his first advice of living well below your means where employment is optional, you can then take the second advice, which is only work on things that you care about and don't waste your time, and then let long-term compound interest. So I'm going to give him a very high score for the survivorship because he has lived every element of this. And now he's giving advice back of what he would do over again. Not just about money, but also about his happiness.
I feel like I was a little more critical.
I was too easy on him, you think?
No, I was saying I was a little more critical, but...
Okay, let's see it.
Naval, the writer of this book, right, is somebody that has already kind of crossed the finish line. The dude's a founder, investor, he's a billionaire, right? And so basically he's putting out principles there that are powerful, right? But sometimes they might just take into account, you got to be lucky, you got to have good timing, you got to have a good network, something like that. But if you feel that if you follow this playbook to a T and you're just going to make it happen or whatever, that's probably not going to happen, right? Because for every Naval, I want to say there's probably thousands upon thousands of people who did similar things that he did, right? But just didn't get the big break that he might have got.
Let's move on to the skin of the game test.
In the skin of the game test, we rate, has the author actually bled for this material, or are they writing from the sidelines? Let's see how Naval holds up.
Do you feel like because Naval was a poor kid from India and he happened to make it, that he bled enough for the material, or are there elements where he's reporting from the sidelines?
Definitely his story, as far as him bleeding and kind of living it, I definitely think that, yes, skin in the game, I would rank that very high.
Let's see if we can come to an agreement on the credibility score. I'm giving credibility a score of 9 out of 10.
I'm going to give it similar. I was going to say a 9 out of 10 as well.
He really has. He's lived it. The dude has earned that one. Credibility score for the Almanack of Naval Ravikant is a 9 out of 10.
Now that readability, impactfulness, and credibility are all locked up, it's time for the it factors.
Category 4 is the Ray factor. This is Ray's wild card. 10 points, entirely his call. He scored it after reading the full book and before he walked into the room. The score is right here, and it's sealed. Ray, before we reveal your score, tell me what you took into account for the Ray factor.
It's one of those books that basically once you hit a stride and like a good part you like, it's really hard to like stop or whatever. So I mean, I audibled it for the most part.
Okay.
And I think it's only like an 8-hour audible, which is kind of a smaller book, but I got through it in like a couple days. So basically what I was thinking about, if I'm going to score it, we're going to be reading some pretty heavy hitting kind of books or whatever, like meditations and stuff like that. The Obstacles Way, I like that one. So basically it's like, how would it compare to all these that we're going to be reading? If I give this a 10, right? And then all of a sudden we read Meditations, it's like, oh, this is on the same level as Marcus Aurelius. You know what I mean? So there's that part of it.
But the building wealth portion to you.
Well,
kind of
I guess
breeze
like
past
because it's like stuff like you don't get rich renting out your time, and it's just. I just feel like you hear this a lot, and it's just like, yeah, of course, trading your hours for dollars, stuff like that, and he's talking about building assets. And I guess basically, like, because you brought that up, like, if you're broke, right, it's like, cool, man, build assets. And I'm just sitting here trying to pay my rent. You know what I mean? So it's like, what are you talking about? But, as far as the happiness part, because there was one part, it's like, being broke and at peace is still better than being broke and miserable. So kind of like when you talk about the jumping off the hedonic treadmill and everything, some of the stuff too, like it's sort of factored in there too. Can this apply to most people, right? And some of it can, I feel, a lot of it can, some of it, I'm thinking whatever, it might be a little cookie cutter or fluff or whatever. But, I was looking at that. Can just the average person, rich, poor, whatever, read this book and, get something out of it, really, as long as you get something out of it, will you get something out of it? Yeah. Whether it be the happiness, the wealth or whatever. So really, I mean, generally that's kind of what I was looking at for my, my Ray factor score.
Okay. Let's see how you scored it based off of that. The Ray factor on the Almanack of Naval Ravikant, 7.0 out of 10.
Category 5 is the Steve factor. Same rules, 10 points, all Steve's call. Defend your score for the Steve factor before we reveal it.
I thought this book had some life-changing topics in it for me, but I also thought that the book was pretty light on some of the specific topics that I would have wanted to see a deep dive. Building wealth and learning happiness were awesome. Two things that were very applicable to me where I'm at in my journey right now, where I'm trying to figure out wealth and the specific knowledge he talks about, where it's what do I know how to do that no one else knows? Like who can be Steve but Steve? Yeah. And how do I apply that in what I do forward? And this whole idea of long-term things with long-term people when it comes to building wealth. Pick people you want to work with that you like working with, and then work in an industry that has a long-term trajectory, and then get compound interest, not just on your money, but on the efforts you put in and day out, because we're all learning and failing, and that's the compound interest that gets us to build anything. Whether it's growing a podcast, whether it's building a business, it doesn't matter. You have to be able to fail at it for a really long time in order to get good. So I love building wealth. I love learning happiness. I did not like building judgment. That whole section to me, I thought it was cookie cutter. I thought it was kind of basically what he's saying is read books in that section. That's how you build judgment, right? Read books. He says, read these books, read those books. I'm like, okay, so read books. Thank you. I don't need you to spend 40 pages telling me that. The saving yourself section, talking about meditation, talking about eating right. Naval is no picture of physical fitness. If you look at him, the guy's got a pot belly. Nothing wrong with having a pot belly, but should you have sections in your book talking about your diet and your meditation and your workouts when you're not in great physical shape? That's just me, and this is the Steve factor. The philosophy section I thought was so-so. That's fine, but I would have loved a deeper dive on the parts that are actionable. Give me more about building wealth, give me more about learning happiness. I do think that he changed my whole idea when it comes to happiness, of what happiness is. Be content with what you have. Choose to be happy. This is an almanac. Almanac meaning it hits a lot of different topics. But I personally, even though I would keep it on the shelf, I would read very few sections over and over again. And so that's what I factored into the Steve factor for my score.
Time to reveal the score. The Steve factor on the Almanack of Naval Ravikant, 6.5 out of 10.
Let's add up the scores to get a final shelf test score.
Readability, 7.5.
Impactfulness, 7.5.
Credibility, 9.
The Ray factor, 7.
The Steve factor, 6.5.
The Almanack of Naval Ravikant by Eric Jorgenson final shelf test score is a 37.5 out of 50. That puts it in the strong tier. Next time on the shelf test, we're reading The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. If you want to read along with us, the reading club is open at theshelftest.com. Sign up, get the next book, and bring your own score when we drop the episode.
That was the shelf test review of the Almanack of Naval Ravikant.
We'll see you on the next one.